Hello everyone, this is Kevin, your entrepreneur, and as you can see I'm not groomed yet. I just woke up and I am going to be going to do some driving later. But someone left a comment on one of my GrubHub videos, and I decided to do some research. I wanted to see if it was actually true because it honestly, I thought there was no way it was true. I thought there was absolutely no way it was true, but it is. But the GrubHub CEO sent an email to his employees, should be mentioned, not his drivers, the employees, basically saying that if you voted for Donald Trump this election, you should probably resign. I'm going to read you the email in full, and then I will comment on it a little bit. And obviously, there's going to be political discussions, and normally I wouldn't discuss politics on this channel unless it's important to the ride-sharing industry. I did so on election day when there were election deals you might have wanted to take a look at, and this one's an interesting one. I kind of went back and forth whether to make the video or not because, again, he's addressing his employees, not to the drivers, which are independent contractors. So he's technically not talking about us. But you know, I want to show solidarity with the employees. I know that technically we have different jobs and different title descriptions, and I know we give them a hard time for making an app that doesn't work most of the time, but they're people too. They're trying to make money like we are, so we should, in solidarity, show support when they are being treated poorly as we are. So here's the letter. The subject line is, "So that happened. What's next? I'm still trying to reconcile my own world view with the overwhelming message that was delivered last night. Clearly, there are a lot of people angry and scared, as the antithesis of every modern presidential candidate won and will be our next president. While demeaning, insulting, and ridiculing minorities, immigrants, and physically, mentally disabled worked for Trump, I want to be clear that this behavior and these views have no place at GrubHub. Had he worked here, many of his comments would have resulted in his immediate termination. We have worked for years cultivating a culture of support and inclusiveness. I firmly believe that we must bring together different perspectives to continue innovating, including all genders, races, ethnicities, and sexual, cultural, or ideological preferences. We are better, faster, and stronger together. Further, I absolutely reject the nationalist, anti-immigrant, and hateful politics of Donald Trump and will work to shield our community from this movement as best as I can. As we all try to understand what this vote means to us, I want to affirm to anyone on our team that is scared or feels personally exposed that I and everyone else here at GrubHub will fight for your dignity and your right to make for a better life for yourself and your family here in the United States. If you do not agree with this statement, then please reply to this email with your resignation because you have no place here. We do not tolerate hateful attitude on our team. I want to repeat what Hillary said this morning, and the new administration deserves our open minds and a chance to lead, but never stop believing that the fight for what's right is worth it." So, alright, this is actually the first time I read the email in full, to be perfectly honest. I read little snippets of it in the article, and maybe that was my mistake. Which means the headline that you see on the left is technically not true. The CEO of GrubHub did not say that if you supported Trump, you should resign. Technically, he said if you do not agree with him that GrubHub is going to be an all-inclusive, safe, and sensitive community, then you can resign. That is technically what he said. However, as they say in the mafia world, there was a veiled threat there. Here's the thing. He could have written this letter another way. He didn't have to include Trump, and in fact, had he wrote it the alternate way, He could have even written the exact same letter had Clinton won without mentioning her, and it would have still made the point without singling anyone out. What the CEO of GrubHub has done is he has singled out the Trump supporters as a problem. And you know what? Yes, of course there are Trump supporters who are racist and bigots. Some of them are KKK members, as Philip DeFranco pointed out. But I know a lot of genuinely smart people who voted for Trump. People I respect, and people who had their reasons which I didn't really agree with sometimes. There was like one reason someone gave me that sounded pretty good, and the rest, I guess you got to do what you got to do. But this email is very problematic. I mean, of course, companies should strive to do the best that they can. They should strive to be inclusive. They should strive to be welcoming. But this very email, by singling out Donald Trump supporters, actually does the exact opposite. It makes Donald Trump supporters feel victimized. It makes them feel unsafe. In fact, if anything, it kind of tells them to shut up, and follow our ideals. Here's the thing. You can have issues with some of these things and not be a racist or bigot or misogynist. Much like how some liberals have issues with people of religious beliefs, they can have issues with those religious beliefs without being anti-religious per se. And also, a couple of his comments just scream ignorance. Like where? Yeah, here's one of the things that shows us how ignorant he is. That part where he says, while demeaning, insulting, and ridiculing minorities, immigrants, and the physically, mentally disabled works for Trump, I want to be clear that this behavior and these views have no place at GrubHub. By the way, totally within, I agree with that part. But here's the next line that shows that he didn't really understand how this works. Had he worked here, many of his comments would have resulted in his immediate termination. And the answer is no, it would not have resulted in his immediate termination. And here's why. Donald Trump owns the companies he works for. He owns the companies he works for. If he was working at GrubHub, he would own the company. He doesn't work for anyone else. He never has, to my knowledge. And yeah, that's a problem, but let's not get into that. Donald Trump, he could not be terminated because he'd be the CEO. And it is true that you should not talk to other employees that way. But that wasn't even the biggest problem, because for the most part, this is actually not a terribly written letter. Really isn't. They just have to take away the references to Trump, and it would be a fine letter. But then you get to if you do not agree with this statement, then please reply this email with your resignation because you have no place here. We do not tolerate hateful attitudes on our team. That is where the big problem comes in. Because, yes, he is saying we don't want you to be hateful, but this is so thinly worded and veiled. He's saying, if you do not agree with this statement, the statement can include, well, I'm a Trump supporter and I don't believe this is true. And then you have no place at GrubHub, apparently. And, excuse me, I think for the most part, yes, you should not discuss politics at work. It's disruptive, but now the CEO is bringing politics into the building. I bet you there's a lot of people at GrubHub right now reading this letter and wondering if they're going to have a job tomorrow. Some of them might even have Trump-Pence bumper stickers. Will they be fired? It's kind of hard to tell, to be honest. The letter kind of makes it sound like they will be. So, I mean, and here's the thing. It's a moot point now. The election didn't go exactly the way I want to go either. I won't tell you who I voted for. It's not obvious. But I was kind of under the impression we were kind of screwed either way, so I accepted my fate. But some people felt very differently. They felt a little bit stronger about it, and they're not willing to accept. And this guy doesn't want to accept that Trump won the election. He is now our president-elect. I do like that he closes the email basically asking us to give the administration a chance. But he needed to get rid of that one line. He should not have ever asked for anyone's resignation, especially since these are working class people. And the irony is that Trump spoke to the working class people. That's one of the reasons he won. The working class, middle class people were getting frustrated by jobs that they saw that were going overseas, by taxes that increased whenever they made more money. I'm not saying you have to agree with it, but that is why they're frustrated. That is largely why they voted for Trump. And this email is written to those types of people. It's not right. So the election definitely got ugly. I'm glad it's pretty much over. We'll probably have protests for a couple days. I'm actually kind of amazed that people felt passionate enough about this to actually leave the couch and get off Facebook for a couple days. But people at GrubHub, I support your right to vote for Donald Trump. Even if I didn't vote for Donald Trump, I support your right to feel you feel. I encourage you to show compassion and grace and to not antagonize people at work, because that's just common etiquette and common sense. It's a shame that if you are a Trump supporter, you have the choice between, voicing that you vote for him or being fired potentially, or being forced to resign. So, for the time being, my advice to you, don't mention Donald Trump. Don't mention Hillary Clinton. If anyone wants to talk about politics, just say, I don't discuss politics at work. That's the best practice you can do right now. Tensions are high, and it's going to probably take a little while for people's feelings to stop being hurt. And as for the CEO of GrubHub, you know what? You were close, but you missed it. And you did so much more damage than you did good with this letter. So I want you to think about that. As someone who drives for your company, this disgusts me. So anyway, that's all I have to say about that. What do you guys think? I'd like to know. Comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.